Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 21 million Bitcoins. This hard-coded rule controls supply.
And then all of Bitcoin Twitter pretty much responded with, this is your Mining Disrupt news surge for Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Happy Christmas Eve. In a couple days, it'll be Christmas in many parts of the world, and if that's something that you celebrate, then I wish you a very merry one and a happy new year. BlackRock's video this week about Bitcoin has a surprising connection to Magic the Gathering. Stay tuned to see how I do this one. First off, a little housekeeping. Scan this QR code right here. Get your tickets to Mining Disrupt 2025, happening in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, March 25th. 26th and the 27th. Before we get into this week's news, we're going to jump right over to the numbers. We are on timechaincalendar.com, and hey, look at that. We're back under 100,000. $96,770.64 just dropped down there. You'll get yourself over 1,000 sats per dollar again. Hey, if I was stacking, I would be a happy camper right now. The on-chain fees are still low, and right now we have 20,564 total reachable nodes, and that is important and plays a key part in my Magic the Gathering connection, this thread, this tapestry I'm about to weave. We're gonna get into the news first, however. Let's get things rolling and jump right back in time to Monday, December 16th, with the additional proceeds from Riot's upsized $594 million, 0.75% coupon convertible bond issue. The long and short of this is Riot bought a whole lot more Bitcoin. They now hold 17,429 Bitcoin. If I was the kind of guy interested in what MicroStrategy is doing, interested in what Riot, Mara, etc. are doing, Semler Scientific, this is the kind of stuff that I'd be paying attention to. Not financial advice, but it is interesting, I will say that. And on that very topic, at Anil Said So says, when corporate finance is being rewired before your eyes, but you're too busy rereading old Berkshire shareholder letters. And we're still on Monday. Wicked W_S_Bitcoin says, fun fact, if 300 million people had 0.07 Bitcoin each, that account for all 21 million Bitcoin. Moving right on to Tuesday, Senator Cynthia Lummis says 2025 will be the year for Bitcoin and digital assets. With David Sachs as crypto czar, this will be the most pro-digital asset administration ever. Moving right on to Wednesday, and I need to make this really clear, everything that you see here is not financial advice. You come here for entertainment and education, not financial advice. There are people, professionals with degrees and the like, and have actual professional jobs where they're paid to do that, to give you that advice. Go to them for that type of advice. But here, Metaplanet says, Metaplanet to commence trading in US on OTCQX market as MTPLF. Thursday was a wild news day. First up, we've got Hut 8 saying that they announced to purchase approximately 990 Bitcoin for approximately $100 million, or an average of approximately $101,710 per Bitcoin. Combined with the Bitcoin held prior to this purchase, Hut 8's strategic Bitcoin reserve now totals more than 10,000 Bitcoin. Are you seeing a trend yet? Zach Herbert from Foundation Devices says, I don't think a strategic reserve should be number one priority. Interesting. He says, top priority should be eliminating capital gains tax and refunding those taxes paid over the last decade. Okay, I like that. This will also enable Bitcoin payments at scale, since there will no longer be any tax burden for users. Now, take this one with a grain of salt. I'm not sure how much of this is real, because this one comes from Not Real Sailor, founder of MicroStrategy, Parody. He says, Dutch government in open letter urge to sell gold and buy Bitcoin. Again, that's a parody account, so take that with some amount of salt. And right here, talking about that thing that I'm gonna really drive home in the opinion section, Eric Yakes says, wars will be won with your little node, which is a response to this when somebody says, you really think your little effing node running on a Raspberry Pi is going to prevent BlackRock from uncapping the supply of Bitcoin? And on the topic of running your own node and being a Bitcoiner and self-sovereignty, all that stuff, this was kind of a blow to the gut. I could feel this one. I did not nearly as much as he felt it, but if you haven't read this story, check out the link in the description below. American Hodl says, drop Chase some words of encouragement below. This guy lost his Bitcoin because he did not have a backup that he could find of his seed words. And I can't imagine what that must feel like. Okay, it's opinion time. And before I talk about Magic the Gathering, I have 2 confessions I gotta make. Well, it's just 2 admissions, I guess. The first one is that when I first got into Bitcoin, I had a lot of questions. But one of those questions I feel, admittedly, very dumb about now. It was, well, what if it can be divided, what does it matter about the fixed cap? Okay, well, that one got explained to me by Armin the Parman in a very simple way. He said, it doesn't matter how many times you cut up a pizza, it doesn't change the amount of calories. You're not going to feed the world even if you cut atom-sized slices. Oh, okay, yeah. The second one I did not feel so dumb about, and maybe I should have, but I didn't, and I still don't, because it takes a little bit more nuance, a little bit more explaining to understand how this is true. When you get into Bitcoin, you understand that the entire ledger of Bitcoin is stored on nodes. This is why, one of many reasons, it's so important to run your own node, because then you have an entire copy of the Bitcoin ledger, all of the transactions. And if you interact with your node, if you're going to do a transaction, then you know that that is not lying to you. You know it's true if you've done all the proper verification. Well, I asked the question, what if some bad actor, a nation state, BlackRock, Fidelity, Michael Saylor, whoever, Bill Gates, buys 1 million nodes and runs their version, true Bitcoin, on it? Then what happens? Don't they win? And this was explained to me, again, by Armin the Parman. No, they don't win. Let's say I'm building a deck for one of my favorite formats, Modern, and I'm building with maybe my favorite card in that format, Dragon's Rage Channeler. And I like playing this card so much, I want to be sure she shows up, so I put 6 in my deck, and I go, this is now Dragon Rage Modern. And people go, that's cool, who else plays it? And I go, I have 10,000 decks, each one with 6 Dragon Rage Channeler. And I say with my 10,000 decks that this is how Modern is now played. We call it Dragon Rage Modern. And people go, cool, you go have fun with yourself, because that's not how we play at this tournament or any other sanctioned tournament anywhere in the world. So you can do whatever you want over there with your silliness, but that's not how we play. And that's not how anybody else that is gonna be at a tournament playing Modern plays either. The same is true with Bitcoin. If you have a node, then you have a particular version of Bitcoin. That is, assuming you're running the actual Bitcoin code, the true and only version of Bitcoin. If BlackRock wants to come out and call their true Bitcoin the true Bitcoin, it doesn't really matter, because they have a fork of that, and enough people would have to agree to that, and it still wouldn't matter. You could go, well, sure it does. If they have 10,000 nodes, 20,000, 30,000, and that's what most people are using, it doesn't change the truth. They could call theirs true Bitcoin. They can call it whatever they want. But there is only one Bitcoin, and people will know that. And true scarcity will win out. They can change the code to be 42 million coins. They could change it to be 100 million coins. But there will still only be that one true Bitcoin, the one that Satoshi Nakamoto brought into existence, and that is the only Bitcoin. It is the only one that matters. And the really silly thing about this is that if BlackRock did do that, it would be like you having a Magic deck and all of a sudden, boop, you get a second one that has some goofiness about it, that changed the names, the art is different, or there's more cards, and you go, oh wow, you just gave me this. Cool, I can go and sell this, and I still have the real thing. In closing, there were some people that saw that little asterisk remark on the BlackRock presentation video as a promise of what BlackRock plans to do. I didn't see it that way. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm dumb. I already admitted I didn't understand two pretty basic things about Bitcoin when I first got into it. Hey, maybe I am a dummy. But I don't think that an entity, BlackRock, focused, as far as I can tell, solely on making money would shoot themselves in the foot that way. I don't know. Maybe they would try and see if they could hobble away. I don't know. I think it was more of a reminder that this is digital and it can be changed. And they're right. It can. But it does not change truth. And Bitcoin is truth. If you run your own node and if you go over to Solo Satoshi and get yourself a solo miner and you self-custody your Bitcoin, you've got the trifecta of Bitcoin. Who's going to stop you? Until next week.